Hi everyone, I'm Nicole, and in this channel I talk about anything within the psychology, EQ, mindset umbrella. So if you're interested in that kind of content, make sure that you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any future videos. So let's get into today's topic. Today we are talking about feelings. Feelings and the importance of accepting them and expressing them in today's unbothered culture. And then at the end of the video, I'll go towards 5 steps that you can use to increase your emotional intelligence that I heard from a podcast but taken from a book, both of which I will link down in the notes down below. So without further ado, I just want to say, you are not your feelings. You have every right to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. Don't cry out loud, just keep inside. Learn how to hide your feelings. Let's not do that. Did anyone else grow up and have their parent have that as their go-to karaoke song? Because I can relate. Okay, so I wanted to start off by saying every single feeling that you have is valid and should be accepted. I think the idea behind being unbothered and why a lot of people don't really let themselves feel however they're feeling is the idea of true self versus ideal self. And it sounds like the name. True self is who you actually are, ideal self is who you want to be. And I also think it has a lot to do with the nature of our language. A lot of times when we express emotions, we'll say, I am sad, I am mad, I am upset. Instead of saying I feel, just the difference of the word will help detach emotion from self. So I feel sad, I feel happy, I feel mad. I also think it's interesting that when we use the word feel, how it kind of has a negative, kind of softer connotation. It doesn't feel as it doesn't sound or come across as strong, like, hey, you should listen to me, this is what it is. It doesn't come across as bold. It's kind of soft, feminine, and therefore less listened to. Anyways, going back to the culture of being unbothered, how this is a cool thing to do, especially I feel like in dating scenarios. A lot of the times when I'm talking to people in my life about problems that they're having, specifically relationships, they'll be like, oh, I don't want to come off too strong. I don't want it to seem like I'm too interested. I'm gonna play it cool. I'm gonna wait like an hour to text back. Oh, they waited a day to text me back? I'll wait 3. Things like that. But if you really come to think about it, if you are afraid to show your true self to someone, whether it be a friend, romantic partner, a business relationship, is that relationship or that person really worth holding on to? Can't be your true self? Some things to think about. Going back to you are not your feelings. Just because you are angry or feeling angry at the time doesn't make you an angry person. Just because you're sad, just down in the dumps for a week, doesn't mean that you're a sad person. So on and so forth. And I'll give you an example of what I see this in my personal life. A lot of times I'll be talking to friends with problems that are going on in their life, and they'll say, you know what, I shouldn't feel this way though, I'm gonna brush it off, it's gonna be fine. Or with my mom, my sweet mother that cares very dearly for me, whenever we're talking about dating, she'll just say, just be smart and don't get hurt. She has a lot of goodwill behind that statement, but it's just like, if I were to get hurt, that I wouldn't care. If I was not to care about anything external to me, like, what kind of life would that look like? If we did not care about others, it just like we humans are social beings. I can't imagine that would be a fulfilling life. These messages, I've heard this growing up, I've heard this, in my personal life, and when people start to feel a certain way, they'll either suppress it or try to place the blame on an external factor. Like, that person just sucks. And that's why I feel this way. All this to say, sometimes you just feel a certain way, and that is okay. You are human. You are allowed to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. Now, this isn't me saying, like, every single emotion that you're feeling, express it on the spot, no filter, don't care about how it affects other people. That's absolutely not the case. I think a more productive way of doing this is having the knowledge and the space and the people around you to be able to safely express how it is that you're feeling in a loving and productive way, and being able to learn and grow from these experiences. So, personal example, story time. In my previous relationship, it was a rocky one. I moved across the continental US to be with this person, and when it didn't work out, I naturally moved to Vegas, as one does as a newly single person, and really just started life on my own with no plan. You know, that was a very insightful personal growth experience. I grew so much from it. I was serially, I was very, very, very single for a really long time. I had the fear of abandonment and attachment, and just being able to work through those emotions, being able to understand what it was that I needed because of those emotions, allowed me to set my expectations and set boundaries on a certain thing that I needed in regards to relationships. I started to attract the right people in my life and slowly started to break down those walls. And with that example, just because I was fearful for so long it didn't make me a fearful person. I found strength in a less than desirable situation and I grew from it. So with the next step, I want to talk about a 5-letter acronym that you can use to practice better emotional intelligence and being able to safely express and feel your emotions. So I heard of this book from Brené Brown's podcast called Unlocking Us, and she interviewed Dr. Brackett, a professor at Yale University and a founder of the Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence. He came up with this acronym in regards to emotions called RULER. The first R stands for recognizing. So being able to recognize how you're feeling. Say you're having a discussion with someone and you're not really agreeing with their views. You start to feel this heat inside of you. You start to just feel bad, generally. You start to not feel safe. Recognizing that this emotion is coming up. That's R. U stands for understanding. So understanding what this emotion, how it affects you, how it affects other people around you. So say you're in a bad mood. Maybe it affects your energy level. Maybe it affects the proclivity of you being around other people. Maybe you're more likely to lash out, and then that in turn affects the people around you. So being able to understand how this emotion that you're starting to feel affects other people. RULER. It's you. L is putting a label on it, and I think this is a really important thing, being able to name it, because I feel like that takes a little bit of its power away. Kind of helps with solidifying the recognizing, the understanding, the labeling of it. So say you're feeling this bad emotion, you're starting to feel like you don't want to be around other people, you're starting to feel on edge, and from this we can call it irritable. I am feeling irritable. I am feeling upset. So with all those in mind, we've come up to the L, and being able to label it, say it to yourself, say it out loud, helps everyone involved understand the situation a bit more. E is being able to express this. So with the labeling and expressing it, saying it in a way that's not detrimental to the situation. So take, for example, you're having an argument, having a discussion that's turning into an argument, and you come to a point where you're like, okay, I recognize this, I understand what's happening internally, I'm labeling it as being irritable and upset, and expressing it to myself, acknowledging that, and expressing it to that person that I'm having this argument with. So let's say things start to heat up, and instead of carrying on a conversation that becomes more and more emotionally charged, and a lot of the times the emotional mind isn't a rational one. So if you ever just said something that you didn't mean in the heat of the moment, I think that's definitely something we can all relate to. But being able to calmly and productively express it, that's the E for ruler. And then R stands for regulating. So in this instance of you being in this argument with a person, you're irritable with them and you've expressed that you feel this way, oftentimes with regulating an emotion, you can find a productive outlet for it. So maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's doing a really hard workout, maybe it's just taking a nap to emotionally reset, taking the steps that you need to just be able to calm the emotional mind and separate the emotion from what's actually going on so that you can see it from a more third person point of view. So you can see it with a more rational, clearer mind. So that's it, that's this video. Express your emotions and do so in a productive and healthy way, and hopefully you'll see the effects of this on your overall mental health and the quality of the relationships in your life. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think. Any sort of feedback or comments is very much appreciated. So express yourself. Express yourself.